Hello and welcome everybody to the Politics Extra for May 27th, 2024, Memorial Day. It's your old pal, Justin Robert Young. A lot of people, you guys might be on the road, driving back from the beach, having a good time with the family, listening to this as you head back to your abode after a sun-soaked 3-day weekend. But guess who doesn't rest? Me. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the scruff to prove it, because I've been back and forth between here and D.C., and we're going to have a little bit of a different Sunday edition for you. In fact, at our We're Not Wrong live show on Friday, one of the fantastic attendees asked about when I was going to talk about Trump speaking at the Libertarian Convention. And I was like, Wednesday probably. And then it snapped all together for me, because there was a lot of people that I wanted to meet in D.C. Friends. I wanted to meet some of our guests that we've had on the show and make face with them, buy them a drink, just say hi, network a little bit, strengthen those bonds. No one was there. Memorial Day. All of D.C. empties into Delaware and Virginia on Memorial Day. Them's just the rules, right? That's what happens. So it also dawned on me that on holidays, the Sunday shows are not current. They pre-record a bunch of stuff. We've done a bunch of these episodes. You guys have heard. It's always stuff that's recorded earlier in the week because the staff also wants a 3-day weekend. So I think the only show that was live that talked about anything over the weekend, including the Trump speech at the Libertarian Convention, was CNN. And it's like, you'd rather just hear it from me because I was there. So I'm going to play clips from Trump at the Libertarian Convention, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. Let me give you my top line. I said on this show and elsewhere that I believe that the Libertarian Convention inviting Donald Trump for indeed their biggest speaking slot, making him the star of their convention, was an act of political cuckoldry. It was watching a bigger, stronger man have his way with your voting audience while you sat on a small chair and said that you were deriving benefit and pleasure from it. I was right. Look, we're going to go through these clips, but as I'm talking to you, the Libertarians have still not determined who is going to be their nominee. I'm recording this at 6:44 p.m. Central Time. That means it is damn near 8 o'clock at night on the East Coast. And in the Washington Hilton, the Hinckley Hilton, the Libertarians are still in that little basement of theirs. It actually is a really cool looking basement. I love it. It felt like an old school convention. I had a really good time there. But they're still deciding who their nominee is going to be. That news is going to be minty fresh at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on a holiday Sunday. Meanwhile, all anyone's going to talk about this convention is Donald Trump. You will have given your nominee no time to explain his case on your biggest stage that you own. We're going to get a little bit more into that toward the end here, but let's go ahead and get into our first clip. This is Donald Trump as he first makes his way up on stage, explaining how he has come to see the light of libertarianism.
A lot of people ask why I came to speak at this Libertarian Convention, and it's an interesting question, isn't it? But we're gonna have a lot of fun. Well, in the last year, I've been indicted by the government on 91 different things. So if I wasn't a libertarian before, I sure as hell am a libertarian now.
I take this time to explain to you guys that this was a poop show, okay? Press had to get ferried into the room at 5 p.m. Donald Trump did not speak until 8. This was a drunk crowd. This was a crowd that had spent their entire day arguing with each other on who would be the chairperson of the Libertarian Convention. This is something that was probably the thing that actual delegates cared about the most, in my opinion, in terms of my conversations with folks. That was the thing that they really cared about. There's a civil war going on within the Libertarian Party. The ruling faction is the Mises Caucus. The chairperson for that is Angela McArdle. Angela? I believe it's Angela. Angela McArdle. She was running for another 2-year term. She very narrowly won it. But as the basement was the fight over that, MAGA folks who had bought tickets for this one-night event were streaming in to the room. McArdle, fresh off her reelection, has to come up and ask the MAGA faithful to move back so that Libertarian Party delegates who were promised front row seats for this would get it. People were rowdy. They were screaming. They were drunk. Libertarians are not an agreeable people in general. And by that, I don't mean that they're mean. I mean that they don't agree on a lot. They are defined by their disagreements with each other. And they are united in their hatred for people that are further away from them. It was combative. The MAGA people were annoyed. I loved every second of it. It was total chaos. I was so pumped to be there. I was sitting there with the Yankee Doodle Panther, Andrew Heaton, the bi-coastal elitist, Jen Briney. Oh, my God. Jen Briney looked like she was watching just a 50-car pileup. Heaton's Midwestern sensibilities were not exactly in tune with this event, and I couldn't have been happier. I was thrilled. I was absolutely thrilled. So Donald Trump does a really smart rhetorical thing at the beginning because it's a big, loud, mixed crowd, and as you're going to hear, it only got louder and more mixed. He called attention to 2 missionaries that were murdered in Haiti over the last few days. That quieted everybody down. Smart idea. If you're ever going into a hostile environment, find something that, like, for human decency, everybody's going to have to quiet down about, or else they have to ask some real serious questions about their own lives. And then he starts to give them a little bit of red meat. I don't know who wrote this speech, but they know what libertarians want to hear, and it's stuff like this.
We believe that Marxism is an evil doctrine straight from the ashes of hell. Having Marxism in our government is intolerable, and teaching it to our children is considered to us child abuse. We believe that the job of the United States military is not to wage endless regime change wars around the globe, senseless wars. The job of the United States military is to defend America from attack and invasion here at home. We believe that property rights are fundamental to a free society and that Joe Biden's rampant inflation is a monstrous theft from the American people. It's a theft. We believe that the greatest threat to our country is not from enemies abroad. It's the tyrants, communists, fascists, and thugs attacking our rights and liberties from within. And above all else, we live by the words of the great American patriot, Patrick Henry, "Give me liberty or give me death."
I've been to a lot of Trump events. I've been to bigger ones. I've been to medium ones. This is by far the smallest room I have ever seen him play. You could hear everybody in the room by yelling. There was a man who was standing on a chair the entire speech, and I think he said about 50,000 times, "Lock him up." And with that, the MAGA people got a little pressed, and so they started a united "We want Trump" chant. That then was met by the libertarians chanting and the Fed, and that is the tinder for which this first big bomb drops from Chungus. You have to combine with us. Oh, boy. Look, there's no way that Donald Trump was going to walk into that room and have people like him. Libertarians don't like each other. They boo their chair. They boo their nominee. Again, disagreeable. Disagreeable. Write it in Latin, put it on their crest. That's the libertarian ethos. But the one cardinal rule is we are not Democrats and we are not Republicans. That's it. That is the definitional element of it. Now, I'm going to get back to that in a second. But Donald Trump starts reading a lot faster. He does not have the laugh lines that he normally has. This is when everything really went off the rails.
And by the way, why isn't Joe Biden here speaking to you tonight? You know why? Why isn't he? Because he can't put two sentences together. That's why he's not here. The fact is, we should not be fighting each other. If Joe Biden gets back in, there will be no more liberty for anyone in our country. Combined with us in a partnership, we're asking that of the libertarians. We must work together. Combine with us. You have to combine with us. We cannot give crooked Joe Biden 4 more years. We cannot give crooked Joe Biden 4 more years. A great libertarian who may very well be in the room right now, I believe, but he's a great libertarian, Roy Murdoch, who I've become friends with through his writings in the American Spectator and numerous other places, wrote an article yesterday in which he mentions just some of the things that make me a libertarian without even trying to be one. That's nice. Roy wrote, Donald J. Trump will address the Libertarian Party and its national convention on Saturday. The Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for President of the United States. Whoa. That's nice. That's nice. Only if you want to win. Only if you want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Maybe you don't want to win. Thank you, D-Roy. Thank you. No, only do that if you want to win. If you want to lose, don't do that. Keep getting your 3% every 4 years.
Nominate Trump. Nominate Trump. And then he says, or not, if you just want to get your 3% every 4 years, you can not do that. But nominate Trump. Nominate Trump. So he's not only coming to the convention, he is seeking the nomination. And by the way, he is the middle part of this speech was him literally just reading almost verbatim a American Spectator article that laid out all these arguments. So we just outsourced this speech to an article in the American Spectator. One more clip. He goes back to the well there with the similar result. He seeks the Libertarian Party endorsement.
That's pretty big. Or you can keep going the way you have for the last long decades and get your 3% and meet again, get another 3%. No, you want to make yourself winners. It's time to be winners. You have a lot of common sense. It's time to be winners. So I'm asking for the well, think of it. I'm asking for the Libertarian Party's endorsement, or at least lots of your votes, lots and lots of Libertarian votes, based on my 4-year, very outstanding presidential record. Much of my record is Libertarian.
I gotta say, This is a bit of a Rorschach. However you want to look at it, you can look at it. If you think that it's humiliating that he went into a room, asked for their support, and got booed out of the building, that's one way you can look at it. If you want to look at it saying he walked into a room that he knew he was going to get booed in, asked for their support, and was unfazed in how he asked for it, you can also look at it like that. But he did not come empty-handed. He had some offerings to the libertarian people. He promised to put libertarians in his cabinet. And this was an interesting thing because he didn't do something that he often does, especially in more intimate gatherings, where he'll muse about names. And so he'll do this with like vice president or something like that. Or if there's like a local politician, he'll say like, but this guy, what do you think? Attorney General? Attorney General? Secretary of State? Or he'll, for vice president, how do you guys like Kirsten Noem? Not a lot of good, great lady. How about J.D. Vance? Like he'll throw out names, he'll gauge the audience. I was curious, and I think it's because he was not having a good time up there. He wasn't getting the laughs. He really feeds off the laughs. Watching that speech made me realize that when you deprive him of his laugh lines, he doesn't feel the freedom to just BS. And if he just is eyeballing that teleprompter and ripping through it, then that's just going to be what it is. But he didn't do that. It was interesting that he didn't just name names. Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, Mike Lee opened the speech. What about Mike Lee? Would you guys like to see Mike Lee in the cabinet? Maybe Mike. I don't know. He's doing great in the Senate. Like there's just, it surprised me that he didn't do it. But here's the big moment. I heard and put on Twitter, I think I had it earlier than anybody, to be totally honest with you, at least on my radar, but that Donald Trump would pledge to commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht. If you're not familiar with the name of Ross Ulbricht, he was the founder of the Silk Road marketplace on the dark web. That was a place where you could buy drugs. You could buy and sell pretty much anything, you know. So dark stuff at times, you know, including like murders. But Ross Ulbricht is currently serving 2 consecutive life sentences. He has been in jail for 11 years. Being handed out when you walked into attendees were signs that said "Free Ross." And then this happens.
And I will ensure that libertarians are helping to lead that task force. You'll be on that task force, many of you. As everyone knows, it will be my great honor to pardon the peaceful January 6th protesters, or, as I often call them, the hostages. They're hostages. There has never been a group of people treated so harshly or unfairly in our country's history. This abuse will be rectified, and it will be rectified very quickly. And if you vote for me on day one, I will commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht to a sentence of time served. He's already served 11 years. We're going to get him home. We're going to get him home.
So here's what I heard on the floor. I heard that the promise to commute the sentence of Ross Ulbricht was a condition for Donald Trump to speak. And that is a win for the organizing team, a win for the Mises Caucus. It also sets up another party's nominee to get a gigantic ovation in a very mixed crowd where you've handed out signs that precede the idea that he is going to promise this. It also builds in a permission structure for libertarians who care about this subject to vote for Donald Trump. Because whoever gets that nomination, we are assuming that it is Michael Rechtenwald, who, by the way, gave a very awkward speech on stage last night, and then it was revealed that it was because he was on edibles. Haven't learned the Gary Johnson lesson. But he's not going to, look, he can promise everything. He can promise to eat the moon. Not going to matter. He's not going to win. You are giving a permission structure to libertarians to vote for Donald Trump if you allow him to go in front of the people that you are ostensibly supposed to be courting and build in a permission structure to vote for Donald Trump. Now, people in that room, hell no, they're delegates. But there are millions of libertarian-leaning voters. How many of those care enough about this issue to vote for Donald Trump? I don't know. But it's a more tangible, actionable political item than anything else that was going to be talked about on that stage. More candy for the libertarians. This is Donald Trump wanting to become the big crypto don.
Thank you. And I will also stop Joe Biden's crusade to crush crypto. We're going to stop it. I will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in the USA, not driven overseas. I will support the right to self-custody to the nation's 50 million crypto holders. I say this with your vote. I will keep Elizabeth Warren and her goons away from your Bitcoin. And I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency.
It was not missed by many that both the commutation of Ross Ulbricht and the crypto stance is an evolution, let's say charitably, for Donald Trump. He has campaigned about executing drug dealers in the past, so commuting Ross Ulbricht's sentence is, a flying in the face of that. Although he has also done criminal justice reform, and he talked about criminal justice reform during his speech as well. I think he would kind of put that into the framework, or the Ulbricht commutation into that framework. But crypto is something that he understands. Like, this is his demo. He wants to court the Gen Z, the bro lobby. Crypto is a great way to get into it. It's also something that libertarians really do need to lean into more. You know, the future of the Libertarian Party, in my opinion, lies with young men. They are they've always been the natural driving force for the Libertarian Party. And right now, they're kind of in with that demo. The MMA, crypto, vape, anime demo. Stand-up comedy demo, the Joe Rogan demo. That's having a moment. Dave Smith is a very nice guy. I met him while we were there. He has decided to not seek the nomination. I think he would be a transformational figure in that party. And somebody that could put a different face on what is otherwise just a bunch of fractious old men yelling at each other. At least he would be a young man, young, handsome guy that is redefining what that party is and also attracting the young men, the disaffected young men. All right, last thing. This is where it ended. And, one more time, don't say that Trump's afraid of it. He asked explicitly for everybody in that room, delegates of the Libertarian Party, to invalidate the reason why they are there and support Donald Trump.
Prince and villains once and for all. Ladies and gentlemen, The great liberation of America begins on November 5th, 2024. It will be the most important day in the history of our country. And the forgotten man and woman will be forgotten no longer. I want to thank you. I want your support. And again, you can either nominate us and put us in the position or give us your votes. I would say nominate or give us your votes, but we want libertarian votes because you stand for what we stand for, and don't waste a vote. And don't allow the worst president in the history of our country to come back and do the final destruction of America. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you. God bless you.
So Trump did not seek the nomination of the Libertarian Party today when they were determining their president. RFK Jr. did. He got about 2% of the vote and then was eliminated. Trump truths the following. The reason I didn't file paperwork for the Libertarian nomination, which I would have absolutely gotten if I wanted it, as everyone could tell by the enthusiasm of the crowd last night, troll, was the fact that as the Republican nominee, I am not allowed to have the nomination of another party. Regardless, I believe I will get a majority of the Libertarian votes. Junior Kennedy is a radical left Democrat who's destroyed everything he's touched, especially in New York and New England, and in particular, as it relates to the cost and practicality of energy. He's not a libertarian. Only a fool would vote for him. So he doesn't even mention Michael Rechtenwald or the edibles that he took. The argument that I got last night when I expressed that I believe that, again, this is political cuckoldry through and through. Donald Trump was the bull, having his way with the voters, while the Libertarian Party watched and convinced themselves that they were the ones who were really in charge, was that, look, for the price of a speaking slot, they might have gotten Ross Ulbricht freed. And to that I say, you're right. That is powerful. That is good. That is a way to wield your power. You also don't need 50 state ballot access to do it. That is what defines a party, is ballot access. And I believe that the people for decades that have scraped, clawed, and fought against the wishes of the Democratic and Republican Party to gain that ballot access deserve somebody that is a candidate for which can be taken seriously. You don't have to have ballot access to get favors out of major party candidates. Planned Parenthood doesn't need to have 50 state ballot access to demand certain things coming from the Democratic side. The NRA doesn't have to have 50 state ballot access to demand certain things from the Republican side. They can just be very influential organizations that for the price of speaking in front of their people, they want commitments that certain things are going to happen. So the Libertarian Party has to ask themselves a question. Are they a party, or are they just kind of a rowdier version of Turning Point USA? Because if they're the latter, they can work a lot less hard. It would just kind of be a shame, because a third party with 50 state ballot access doesn't exist aside from the Libertarians. And I think there's a really destructive and corrosive idea of hopelessness that can kind of creep in, and you can blame, the duopoly and blah, blah, blah. And look, I'm not saying any of that is not true. I'm just saying that you do need to believe that you can maximize your vote share. If you don't, why are you even trying? Otherwise, you're LARPing. And I think that they're in LARPy territory now. Because I don't think that Michael Rechtenwald is going to even make some of these polls that come out. I think they might be in danger of slipping to below 1%. And Donald Trump made fun of him for saying, get your 3%, get your 3%, get your 3%. If that. If that. All right. That'll wrap it up for us today. Politics Extra, your Sunday bonus live from DC edition. Well, semi-live from DC edition. I don't know who's on the show. I got to book that. Michael Cohen, probably. I saw the old boy Michael Cohen, and oof. You know, I was shocked. I was listening to some of my favorite political podcasts, and for my money, in terms of the X's and O's stuff that I really like, the only two podcasts that I kind of make a point to listen to because they're nutritious in those perspectives are Hacks on Tap and the Ruthless podcast. I was shocked to hear both of them. One of them is left of center, one of them is right of center. All of them have run X's and O's actual campaigns before. Shocked. Both mentioned the idea of Biden being replaced. I thought it was a conspiracy theory when I said it on Wednesday. Apparently it's a popular one going around, and we're probably going to talk a little bit more of that this week because these polls, my God. All right, that's it. Till next time, this is your old pal, Justin Robert Young, saying politics has three names.